Could Shaq survive the Ice Age? To answer this, we need to break it down into three categories. A, why Shaq is capable. B, what made the Ice Age so dangerous. And C, how Shaq could realistically survive it. So first, why is Shaq even capable of this? Because physically, Shaq is one of the most dominant athletes the NBA has ever seen. At his peak, Shaq stood over 7 feet tall and weighed more than 300 pounds, while still moving with shocking speed and explosiveness. And during the early 2000s, he completely overpowered almost every defender in the league. But strength alone isn't what makes this interesting. Because surviving the Ice Age wasn't just about fighting, it was about endurance, cold, hunger, and adapting to brutal conditions over long periods of time. And that's where Shaq becomes surprisingly dangerous. See, during his prime years, Shaq constantly played through physical punishment that would have exhausted most players. Double teams, constant contact, heavy minutes, entire defenses built around stopping him. And despite that, he still dominated games physically.
I saw Shaquille O'Neal. Shaquille O'Neal at 325, 350 pounds is the most dominant force I have ever seen on a basketball court. But I will never...
That matters because Ice Age survival would have required extreme durability. Now let's move on to Section B. What actually made the Ice Age so dangerous? The Ice Age wasn't just snow and cold weather. It was an environment built to eliminate weakness. Temperatures were freezing, food was inconsistent, and survival depended on adapting quickly to dangerous conditions. And one of the biggest threats was energy. Humans constantly needed food, warmth, and shelter just to survive. Without enough calories, people became weaker very quickly. And then there were predators. Massive prehistoric animals roamed the environment, including saber-toothed cats, giant bears, and enormous hunting packs. At the same time, weather conditions could suddenly become deadly. Blizzards, freezing winds, and temperatures cold enough to kill people overnight. So surviving the Ice Age wasn't about one moment, it was about surviving every single day. Now on to Section C. How could Shaq realistically survive this? The first factor is size and strength. In prehistoric environments, physical dominance mattered far more than it does today. And Shaq would instantly become one of the most physically intimidating humans alive.
I just don't see motherfuckers having what Shaq had, was that I'm gonna put you in the doghouse, barbecue chicken down here. He had the black tornado, that's what he called that motherfucker when he spin on that spin lob with the dunk. I mean, he was just...
At over 300 pounds, Shaq wouldn't just survive encounters with predators better than most people. He could probably scare many of them away entirely. Now, the second factor is durability. Throughout his NBA career, Shaq absorbed constant physical punishment while still remaining effective. And Ice Age survival would have required exactly that kind of toughness. Long travel, extreme weather, constant exhaustion, and physically demanding conditions every day. Then there's energy conservation. Because of his size, Shaq wouldn't need to rely on speed or agility the same way smaller people would. He could use strength to conserve energy more efficiently during hunting, protection, or survival situations. But probably the biggest factor is intimidation. In survival environments, fear changes behavior, and Shaq's combination of size, power, and confidence would immediately make him stand out. Even in the NBA, players constantly talked about how physically overwhelming Shaq was. Now imagine that same level of dominance in prehistoric conditions. And mentally, confidence matters during survival. Panic gets people killed. But Shaq constantly played with confidence and control, even under pressure. Now, would surviving the Ice Age still be incredibly dangerous? Absolutely. The freezing temperatures alone would be enough to destroy most people. Food shortages, predators, and weather could end survival quickly. But when you compare the physical demands of the Ice Age with one of the most physically dominant athletes ever, Shaq would absolutely have a realistic chance. His size, durability, strength, and intimidation factor would make him far more equipped for prehistoric survival than the average person. And that's why Shaquille O'Neal could survive the Ice Age.